Hello, my name is Matt Caron. I'm a sales agronomist for Legend Seed, and today I am out at our knowledge plot location in Luverne, Minnesota, trying to do an evaluation, being that it is the 26th of April, about whether or not we could get in here and plant a test plot. Definitely by the calendar, it's something that I am getting antsy for, as well as everybody else, because we're definitely within our planting window by the calendar. However, I've just taken multiple soil temperatures, but we're pretty consistently between 40 and 42 degrees Fahrenheit at about 2.5 inches down, which is possibly a little bit underneath of what our planting depth would be. But it's definitely showing me that it is plenty cold out here. So with that in mind, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story, my professional experience as an agronomist and what I've dealt with in the past. Back in 2019, which I'm sure many people may have a lot of bad memories from 2019 with how wet it was and delayed planting and all the issues we had. I had a test plot that I planted on the 15th of May that year. And I never ever in my life would have thought that planting on the 15th of May would be too early. But we got about 10 days after that of significantly below normal temperatures. And my plot came up very ragged and uneven, not a pretty stand whatsoever. But I was in such a hurry to move on to cover the rest of my plots that I needed to get done, and the weather was being so difficult that year that I left a couple acres on the outside edge that I need to fill in to come back and plant later. And it wound up being about the 2nd of June before I could come back and get in and fill that in. And I happened to utilize a hybrid that I had in the test plot as a check. And lo and behold, in less than a week, that stuff that I planted in June was out of the ground. It was all uniform. It had been planted at least 2 weeks apart by the calendar. But when we got to the end of the year, we had better yield off of that outside edge where it was planted, even though it was the same hybrid as compared to the check that was on the inside. And not only did we have a better yield performance out of it, but it's hard to say for sure, but just judging by ears and observation, I don't think we were any more than 5 to 6 days shorter on longer the other direction, longer on the black layer than we were on the corn that was early planted. So the fact of the matter is, a crop that went in too early struggled, didn't have a uniform stand, did not achieve the same yield results as the very same hybrid with the same maturity that went in later. And not only that, we actually caught up on GDU when that plant wasn't challenged, when that corn plant was not challenged by the weather conditions. So the moral of that story that really brought home to me is that as much as GDU is a really important indicator and it's a tool for us to understand the maturity of a product and where the best place to position something and what we can expect, don't get me wrong, that's very critical and important. But the fact of the matter is if you plant into good soil conditions, if your crop is not challenged and we've got plenty of heat going through, that has way more of an indicator and effect on whether or not that crop's going to be able to mature and whether we're going to be able to reach our final goals when it comes to yield and performance than what the date on the calendar was when we tried to plant. So in this case, at this location, I think we're going to be waiting at least a week. Part of that is just the schedule that the planter has in front of it. But on the other hand, the other part of it is I really badly don't want to do a test plot twice or have to explain to a group of farmers all summer long why my test plot looks as rough as it does. So for this reason and all of the agronomic stuff discussed before, we're going to hold off, and hopefully we'll have a few planting videos within a week's time. Thank you very much.